Hello, all you beautiful people. This is Learn to Love Yourself or Serenity with Rosie. And today's topic is reclaiming your power. This is the sixth one in a line of 7 of the topic mental health and emotional resilience. So if you would like to, you're welcome to listen to the other ones if you're interested. But today I want to focus on the topic of reclaiming your power. But first, I want to take a deep breath, calm my energies, and you're welcome to do the same. The only reason I do this and to share my experiences is to spark or ignite ideas in your mind to help you on your journey. Because there's not a one size fits all. It's individual. Every person has their own choices. There's not a set hard or fast rule for any of it. Everyone is different. And you have to find out what your own truth is. That is what is important. And so, to reclaim your power, it can be in any relationship with your friends, your coworkers, your family, really anyone you have an interaction with. And a lot of people don't understand, which, sometimes you think, oh, they just treat me bad. But the question I had to start asking even myself was, why do I allow them to treat me bad? I don't have to stay in a situation that makes me feel uncomfortable. And so I ask you the same question, is if you're in a toxic situation, why do you stay there? The why is very important because you deserve better. You are an amazing human on this planet, and we all get to have soul growth, which is the whole goal of this existence on this planet. And so we want to grow, we want to change and evolve. And so finding your own self and reclaiming your power is just one little tiny glimpse of it. So first, I was going to tell a story, and I have actually never told this story before, except for to very, very close people around me. But I was involved in a situation and it started when I was 12. I'm actually not sure when it stopped. But I know where I was put in an uncomfortable situation. And people were doing things. They were doing things to me that I did not approve of and did not make me feel comfortable. And it took me a while. I know that by the time I was 15, it wasn't happening anymore because I kind of blocked out that period of time. But I know that it come to a point where I finally was like, no, you're not going to do this to me anymore. I don't want this. And I was met with a lot of resistance. I know how it is to be ridiculed and be told that you're going to hell and you're being just disobedient. And I got told from my youngest recollection, and it intensified more after this period of time from when I was 12, where it was like, well, you can't make your own choices. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, you're a woman. Girls don't get to make choices. They just get to obey. And so that is to help you understand what kind of environment that I was involved in. And so thankfully, I was not ever forced to physically. I was very much manipulated and tried to control you that way. But I was not actually physically made to do things. And so it was interesting. I don't know. I've had several experiences, and even a different one where I mentioned before, where I was involved in a situation after my stroke, and I didn't realize I had even married the person, and they were not happy. They were not a happy person. They were not healed. They had no desire to heal. And they accused me once that because they said I was crazy because I believe in other energies that are around. And there was one time that they were being quite forceful, and they didn't actually physically touch me, but there was a lot of threatening. And I had walked out for a minute, and then I heard them crying, and so I walked back into the room, and they said, "Why did your friends attack me?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And they said, "Well, right as you walked out, this ball of light came out of the closet and it smacked me, and it had dislocated their shoulder, and they almost went through both walls in the bedroom." And so, it was a interesting experience. But then it was almost, I don't know, it almost made me happy. Not that they were hurt, but the fact that I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that someone was there protecting me. And so we always have help around us. We always do. And the power of your mind is very, very, very powerful. And I don't know how to stress that enough. That you can wish things into being. You can make things happen by what you believe, what you think, what you feel. And obviously, it's a responsibility. And how it works is you can't do it for yourself. It's kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's way easier to manifest for someone else than it is for yourself. But I think that I'm still learning all of the ways of that. And so a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, if you do this, this is a manifestation tip and you'll get whatever you want." But the thing is, it's different because it can't be from a selfish place or it will not happen. So you have to be in the correct mindset. It's like people are like, "Oh, you need to pray that I win the lottery, or you need to pray that this or that." But the thing is it's just like there's a feeling accompanied with it. And it's a different. And so I don't even know how to form it into words of what it is or what exactly it is. I just know it feels different. It's like that time when I brought that one chicken, that little baby chick, back to life. But then when my son wanted me to do it with other chickens, I couldn't. And I couldn't figure out why, because you can't do it on demand so much. Or I have not figured out how yet to do it. And so it's interesting. And as we learn and grow and improve, then you find all of the things. But the message that I want to leave is that you have so much power at your fingertips if you only realize it. This isn't something that just I can do. Everyone can do it. And it's not my abilities, my blessings that I didn't realize were blessings for a long time. I thought they were a curse. But they were a gift to see how, and you have to use them responsibly. You can't just do things in a negative way. So it's fun to be able to help others that you love. It's so much joy comes from seeing their happiness and seeing them happy. But as a child, I was taught to suppress my own needs and to not have a voice, because you are taught that your only purpose in life is what you do for a man. That was your whole existence on life, which it actually seems like quite a sad outlook. And I've had, and I don't know why this is coming up, but I feel like I needed to say this. But it's like, I had one of my really good friends ask me the other day, and she says, so, your religion that you came from and all these other religions that think that they die, they get this 1,000 women, these virgins, 1,000 virgins. And she says, what happens when they're not virgins anymore? What do they do with them? And I just sat there and I was like, I don't know. That's actually it's kind of sad, because if you only want virgins, and obviously it wouldn't be for the sex appeal, because let's all be honest, I don't think that would be great. But I don't know. The only thing that I can come up with, and that talking with one of my other friends, is the fact that they were easy to manipulate. That would be the only reason. That would be the only point why someone would want a virgin or a child, is if they had an intention of manipulating them, which that brings a whole nother problem to the forefront. So that's just an interesting thought. And I don't know why, but that felt like coming through. So, but power, what does power mean? And a lot of people think, well, power is manipulation. It's being aggressive, or it's all about control. But no, power does not mean that. Power is silence. Power is truth in yourself. Truth is power. Truth has its own power, where it shatters all walls of illusion around it. That's why truth needs no defense. It will defend itself. You don't have to be there. And so it's like, how many times have you said something and regretted it? But when you just didn't say anything, silence speaks volumes. And so it's just different. It's a different kind of power. It's not the superficial kind of power. We're talking about a deep, to your bone, to your core feeling that's unshakable. And that's another topic that I want to touch on, is so many people say they want to lose weight, they want to get fit, they want all of these superficial things. But the really truth of the matter, to follow through on a plan, to get that discipline and that determination, it all comes down to your why. Why do you want that? Why is that important to you? Why? What is it? What is your why? And what are you stand to gain from that? Because it's really hard when it's something, unless you're very vain, it's very hard to just push for something for an image. It's a lot easier to have a why if it's for a desired outcome, like strength. Then that's stronger. But if it's just for superficial, then your why is not very strong. It's just like how some people say that, like, parents, if their kids are ever in bad situations, they've seen them have superhuman strength to protect that child. And that is because of their why. Because their love is so deep. And it's just like, in the show Harry Potter, how when Voldemort tried to kill him, and he couldn't at first, and he realized that he was protected. He couldn't kill him initially because of his mother's love for him. And so love is power. So it's almost like reframing your thinking from this temporary world that we live to a deeper, it's like shifting gears to a higher plane of existence, a higher depth, a higher frequency. And instead of just taking things at face value and all the world around you, and yes, it is beautiful, but even the trees and the plants and the everything around us speaks depth. And it's all calling us to drive deeper because it's all about vibration. Everything is about vibration and frequency. And so you want to shift that to where you can be in a higher frequency. You can be in a higher vibration because you, as you learn to reframe how you think of things, and rather than people say an insult to you and instead you think, oh, well, I wonder what happened in their life that made them feel that way, that they would say that. You see how that's a different, rather than saying, oh, so it's not me, it's something in their life. See how that switches and you're not thinking because you're secure in yourself. But I have 5 things. So get your pen and your paper. I have 5 things to tell you that I want you to write down to remind yourself of every day. Are you ready? Your worth isn't dependent on others' approval. I'm going to say it again. Your worth isn't dependent on others' approval. Because other people don't get to decide what you're worth, what your value is. They don't even know you. The question is do you know you? But you're going to. So, the next one is saying no is a form of self-love, not selfishness. And I'll say that again. Saying no is a form of self-love, not selfishness. Because I know, I was taught that if you took care of yourself, if you took time, if you sat down, if you ever stopped working, you were being selfish because you were thinking of yourself. And there is a point, but life is about balance. It's about the yin and yang. It's not all about just pushing in. If you're not good, how do you expect to be able to be good for anyone else? But the real trick is, if you feel good and you're doing something nice for someone else, you have twice the benefit. And therefore, you bring back twice the amount of energy to yourself. Because whatever you give, you get back. So let's let you think about that for a moment. And the next one. Emotional intimacy requires mutual respect, and you cannot force someone to meet you there. I'm going to say that one again. Emotional intimacy requires mutual respect, and you cannot force someone to meet you there. You see it so much of the time where people are like, oh, they didn't like me, this, that, and they're like, somehow something was wrong with them, instead of thinking, oh, well, that's how life is. Sometimes everyone around you is to teach you something, and it's not always a relationship. It's all there to teach you something about yourself. And we automatically assume that if we feel a connection, it has something to do with intimacy or a deeper kind of sexual relationship. But a lot of times, actually, I've found it more common than not, then they're to teach you something. It might be they open your perspective on a whole new topic that you hadn't even thought of. Or it could be something totally different. And so there's a reason. What I'm saying is your feelings that person, for some reason you feel drawn to them, is not a mistake. There is a reason for that. But do you know the reason? And it could be so that you learn to deal with disappointment. Life is that way. We only grow when we hurt. And it sucks to hurt, but if we chose between not hurting and growing, I would still choose to grow, because I would not want to be stuck in somewhere. Yeah, it's fun for a while, but after that, it gets boring. And the thing is you have to understand and appreciate people being straightforward and honest. How many relationships, sexual relationships, would people have if they just voiced their true feelings and said, you know what, I'm not in a good place right now, you're just going to be a rebound, let's not do this. Or how about, I'm just really scared of being alone, I'm afraid of being alone, so I'm going to have you be my cushion so I don't feel that. If we just spoke to each other and said what we actually meant, but for some reason we're all scared of saying how we feel, because we feel like if we say what we feel, we're not going to be enough, which is not true. We are enough perfectly just by ourselves. And trust me, I've been in relationships, and in some of you feel more alone in that relationship than if you were actually alone. And so what's the answer? Is that the answer, that you just want them around so that you don't have to face your demons? Your demons are still there. They're not going anywhere. They are wherever you are. You have to face them sometime. And so what I'm trying to portray is, if you instead embrace your demons, embrace the hurt, embrace the sadness, embrace the pain, show it love. Say, what do you need from me? I am grateful that you have tried to protect me and you try to keep me safe. What do you need that I can help with, that I can help reason through, to help understand more, so that we can progress together? That is what your soul is calling for you to do. That is why those triggers come up. That is why they're always there. That's why when your addictions wear off, it's still there and it doesn't go away. It wants help, and you're the only one who can help it. So it keeps trying. Number 4, the fourth one, you teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. And I'm going to repeat that one. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. Because what you tolerate, they deem as acceptable. That's why when you allow people to treat you bad, they think that's fine because you don't say nothing. You know, and I'm not saying where, I don't know, I tend to myself go on the other side, but I usually give people 2 chances. First time, it's to prove, you know, and the second time, it's just to confirm it. Just because I don't like to be like, oh, because everybody has bad days. Sometimes things are rough, and I can't say I'm perfect all the time either. There's sometimes I've said things, done things, and later on I'm like, oh, that was kind of harsh, or that was kind of unthoughtful, or that was mean. Because people respond, especially if they're frustrated or angry, not saying it's an excuse for poor behavior, but sometimes it has nothing to do with you. And then you have to catch yourself and you're like, you know, I am sorry. I should not have taken that out on you. I'm just feeling a bit frustrated right now and I need to take a 5-minute break. And so it's all learning ourselves, getting better connected with ourselves and what emotions we have and what feelings, and if things, you know, knowing when to draw a boundary or when to not. The thing is we have to remember is we are the only ones with the keys. They get to decide. Because no one can do anything to you unless you say. And if you're not in that situation, I pray that you are. Last one. Walk away when you feel your soul shrinking is reclaiming your power, not quitting. And I'm going to say that one again. Walk away to walk away when you feel your soul is shrinking is reclaiming your power, not quitting. And the reason I say that is I've talked to some people and I'm like, oh, so they just quit. They just, you know, they wanted to do this, be in this company for 30 years, and they just gave it all up and quit. And it's like, well, I can see it from multiple sides. But if you feel like your soul is shrinking to stay stuck in that 9-to-5 job or whatever it is, whether it's with those people, if you feel that pull that you are no longer expanding, you are no longer growing, you are no longer excited for life, your soul is shrinking. And I don't know why I can't say that today, but your soul is shrinking if you no longer have the joy, if you can't find laughter in your life. You want to be growing. And so, is it really to quit if you are dying and you walk away? Maybe to someone who is stuck in their own cycle. But that's just a judgment from their own life. It has nothing to do with you. And so, don't be afraid to walk away. Sometimes walking away is way less painful than hanging on. So, because once you shift this frequency, you find you don't chase things, you attract things. Whatever you want wants you too, because now you're meeting on the frequency of the same frequency it is at. And that's how it's almost like you are both magnets. And so you're drawing it to you because what you want wants you to. So you don't chase, you attract. And once you know your own worth, that's what you go for. And I want all of you to listen to your gut. Some people are like, it's just a gut feeling. Like, no, there's a reason you were given that blessing. It's to listen to. It's important. And another thing that is really good is make a list. Make a list of the non-negotiables for you in your life and all your relationships. What you're willing to put up with and what you're not. That is a good one to reclaim your power. Reclaiming your power isn't a one-time done situation. It's a daily practice where every day you're choosing to honor yourself. You're choosing to grow. You're choosing to expand. And so taking back your power is very important. It's very freeing. It's very exhilarating. Because to stay stuck is very painful. I know, I've done it lots of times. So I just want you all to know how loved you are and how you can do anything you want if you only believe you can. And whatever choice you make, you're right. So just remember there is everyone around you, so many people, guides, angels, even friends and family that want to help. Have a wonderful day.